Solving radical equations that is going to involve a quadratic equation. Our first step, again, is we want to isolate this radical. So to isolate the radical, we're going to move 9 to the other side. After that, once we've isolated this radical, we're going to remove the radical by squaring both sides of the equation. And we're left with a 3x plus 1 on the left side. On the right side, because I end up squaring a binomial, I need to expand this using FOIL. Or, if you can remember, when we expand this, use our shortcut. So when I expand this, foiling it, I end up with an x squared minus an 18x plus 81. So just a refresher on that shortcut, you would, on a binomial squared, we would square the first term, multiply these two terms together, which would be a negative 9, and then double that value, would be a negative 18x, and then you can square this last value, which would be a plus 81. Next, what we end up with is a quadratic equation. So you have to remember, well, how do I solve a quadratic equation? I need to make my equation equal to 0. So I need to move the 3x over and the 1 over to this side by making my equation equal to 0. So I'm left with an x squared. This is going to become a minus 21x. 81 minus 1 is a plus 80. So methods to solving quadratic equation. The first one is always factoring. If you can factor this, that would be your most efficient method. If not, then you would go to quadratic formula. This we can factor. So my factors of positive 80 that add to a negative 21 would be an x minus 16 and an x minus 5. So when I solve this, I end up with a solution of 16 and a positive 5. So remember, it's really, really important to check both of these solutions to make sure they actually work in the equation. So I'm going to do a quick check. So 3 times 16 plus 1 plus 9 should equate to 16. 3 times 16 gives me 48. 48 plus 1 is 49. Plus 9 is equal to 16. So what I'm left with is 7 plus 9 equals 16. So this solution checks out. I'm now going to check my second solution by substituting in a 5. And this should equate to 5. So 3 times 5 plus 1 would be 16 plus 9. The square root of 16 would give me 4 plus 9. This actually does not equate to 5. This essentially does not work. So what I need to go do now is go back to my solutions, cross off the solution that does not work, highlight the one that is a true answer. So the one that I crossed off, this in fact is called an extraneous root. It's a solution we are able to find but doesn't actually work in the solution. And that is how you solve radical equations involving quadratic functions.